We were going down a hill. I jumped out of a moving car.
So at the end of the day, it's your fault.
Jeez, 'cause love, so many people use your name.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Who Opened the Box. I'm Pilar.
I'm Trinity.
I'm Akila.
Today the question is, who are you beefing with and why is it your younger self? What did she do to you? Or what did they do to you?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that a lot of their root issues or struggles, beliefs come from your inner child. And it takes healing your inner child to then be aware of why you might have been operating a certain way, thinking certain things. It's due to your programming, and yes, that stems from your childhood. But we're going to be sharing some experiences and a little bit about why we are beefing with our inner childs, because we are all beefing with our inner child sometimes, most of the time, and we might not even realize it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I technically still am a child, but I know you guys probably have a lot more experience with that.
But you do still have an inner child.
I know you can just say old.
Old.
23.
23. No, I don't. Huh? What?
No, I don't.
I thought you said we agree.
No, I don't.
Oh, girl, I thought you said we agree. You were saying 23.
23.
I'm sorry.
No,
I was going to say, no, we don't agree because we're not old.
I'll never call you old, Mom.
I know you lying, but okay, great.
I never call you old.
Right.
I've never called you old before.
That's a good thing.
Right. So, you had beef with your inner child?
So like Trinity said, I think everybody does at some point. It's not a girl thing. It's not a boy thing. It's an everyone thing. I do have a little beef with my younger self. I'll say not necessarily the inner child part of it. I know it's all related, as Trinity said, but younger self, I too, like Trinity mentioned in I think the first episode about being a rebel or being rebellious.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but in high school, yes, indeed, there were moments, and even a little after high school, of being rebellious. So my beef probably with my inner child right now is basically about some of those things that I did as a rebel.
Yeah.
And the outcome of it.
Aren't you glad I didn't end up like you?
Oh, I know you didn't.
Crying.
And a real low key shot.
She said, aren't you?
Right, and here you gonna repeat it. Aren't you
said,
glad?
Aren't you?
Aren't you glad I didn't end up like you?
I mean, but you got some of your own things now that I didn't do at your age. So anywho, so
It'd be like that.
exactly.
It was
you guys were different
literally
than me.
It was a joke because she literally always talks about how much alike we are in certain aspects.
Yeah, in certain ways.
How?
What?
All I said was how.
I know, right? She's like, what? How? She's saying, how do you think that we're alike?
You the one that said. That's why.
You said it. You said it
She be
too on the
lying.
first
So
episode.
But
anyways,
I
y'all.
say it after you tell me something. Be like, I do the same thing.
Oh yeah, that's that.
Oh,
you got that from me. I'm sorry.
You mean like
That's that
you always
overthinking
say that
part.
for the overthinking.
Yeah, that's. I just said that's that
And she be-
overthinking part.
So
be
did
so-
you know?
Anyways.
I want to share something, but it's not something I've done a lot of research on, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But I saw this video, and it's this lady I follow. She's a therapist, and she always breaks everything down so well. But it's this thing called epigenetics. But when she was talking about it in the video, she was specifically talking about your father and like father wounds.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But she was saying that your father's sperm, like you actually like basically download things from your father, like his nervous system, his trauma.
Not your eyes getting big.
And stuff like that.
So we just basically just like.
And
So
so
basically, when I
but
say
it's
you're like
you
your
know,
dad in certain things, it's legit.
I mean, obviously you would probably act like your father in some type of way, but it's just like that's more like when you think about like, oh, you got that from your dad, you know, it's like the surface. But then when you hear like about the epigenetics and how it's like scientifically, like biologically actually like
Real.
you're like I've like just sorry, I've accumulated things or whatever from my dad because of like how his nervous system was and how
We've been cooked.
stuff like that is like. But then that's why like nervous system healing and like work is so important, because it's like you really gotta release it like physically in a way.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes like talk therapy isn't enough for people.
Yeah.
You have to like physically do something.
Yeah.
Because I think I said this in another episode, but when I was talking about how much I like analyze things instead of like feel things.
Yeah.
So when you're like so busy analyzing and thinking and like just talking, but you're not really like doing and feeling and those type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like and then for which I've looked this up before, but I really still don't understand it, the whole neurodivergent thing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
heard it be like neurodivergent people and stuff. I do think I'm one of them, but I really don't even understand like
No, I never did. No
Do you want to
research on
explain what that means, even though
I really
She don't know.
you don't? I mean,
I've
so
I've
what's the
searched it
title
up.
of neurodivergent even come from? Because I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Google it. It's
Okay.
like
Oh.
it's something I've looked up once and then I was like, okay, try to remember this, and I just can't remember like, but I hear so many people on social media just be like, oh, for people who are neurodivergent, the XYZ, and I'm just like, wait, what does that mean again?
Yeah.
Like what are you guys
I've
talking
probably
about?
only seen.
Okay.
I've seen like a few videos, but the one that I remember is when she was like snow tubing or something, and she had to like make
yeah.
herself smile. or
That's why
something.
I was like,
She
I think I am.
She was having fun, but she was just like this. And she
Yeah,
was like,
it's
"Oh,
like
I can
not
smile."
showing, not feeling that you can like express or like show reactions on your face. Or,
Oh, yeah.
Like she was snow tubing and was like having a really good time, but her face was just like. And then she was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
I
can
reminded
smile."
I reminded myself I can express how I'm feeling on the inside." So she was like, "Woohoo!" And like that used to be me, because if I was like on a water slide or something like that, I would just be like, or if I'm like at an event and I'm really enjoying myself and having
You
fun,
can't
I just
tell.
would not show it for real,
Oh,
because I
that's
don't know, it
probably
just
me
feels
then.
like.
Go ahead. I know you
And then it's
Googled it.
also
I
like,
did.
oh, did you Google it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Neurodivergence refers to a natural variations in the human brain, such as an autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, or dyslexia, where individuals think, learn, and experience the world differently than what's considered typical.
I knew ADHD was in there.
I was going to say that.
And I always say I
probably
think
will
we
pull
all
out
got a little bit of ADHD. Some more than
Yeah.
others, obviously, but I think we all got a little pinch of salt of ADHD.
a pinch of salt.
Pinch of salt.
That's
That's not what I meant. Pinch of ADHD.
A pinch of salt is crazy.
But yeah, it's just like basically when I guess your brain, like, you learn, maybe talk, think differently than
I
what's
wouldn't know.
considered normal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't
Well,
know. It's one of those
that,
like.
that thing where you could like associate colors with stuff. I think I'm that type person. Like Thursday is this color and stuff like that. Or
That
something.
might fall under
Oh,
but that's what
then
I'm just
maybe.
saying. It's
I
like,
know I have a
what is-
certain type of OCD. Not like when people be like, "Oh, I just have to clean everything." It's like a different type of OCD.
but that's not true. Like OCD though,
Huh?
just cleaning stuff is not true OCD.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what irritates me when people be like, "You know, I got a little bit of OCD," and it's just like they just like to be organized. That's not OCD.
But
don't
what are
think
you
you got
talking about with
OCD.
the color thing?
I forgot what it's called. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going up in that head of mine.
It reminds me of like
I don't
what
know.
color is math for you?
Red.
Red.
Because
English?
you guys don't like math? Is that how you're
No.
associating
No,
colors?
listen,
and what?
listen.
No, it's just you think
What
of it.
color
and you
is
don't-
English? Blue.
Blue. Yeah.
When you think of the subject English, what
She's
color
just,
comes
she's just
up?
not
for
a
you?
daughter. That's
Like,
the problem.
would
just-
yellow come up for you? Ew.
I don't,
Blue.
I don't
Yeah.
think of any colors, honestly, when you think of those subjects.
She's just not a
But if you
daughter,
did,
and that's
like
okay.
math is like it makes you think of red, and red is like math. Like, you know,
Yeah.
red is just
But
math.
well, that's why I asked. Is
But I don't
because
know
you
what it's
like
called.
it. I don't really.
It's not
No,
because
it's
you
kinda
don't like it.
associated
It's
like that.
just what
Something.
feels.
I just forgot
Okay.
what
It
it's
just
called.
feels
color.
right. Like math is red, English is blue, science,
Green,
history,
brown.
brown, right? Because your history books be like brown most of the
Yeah.
time, like
It's
earth
It's like
tones,
the aura.
like-
It's like when
Yeah.
I think of history, I just think about like
It's like the
brown,
energy.
old.
But is that not your favorite subject?
What?
History.
Yeah, certain aspects of history. Like if I have like a basic history teacher, then
Not a basic.
like basic, like they just want to keep repeating the same like War of 1812, like every class. I like when it like extends out. So history, yeah, that's probably my favorite subject. I definitely don't like math. I like to count money. That's really it.
I don't think I ever had a good math teacher.
I don't even like to know how to subtract because I'm not trying to lose no money. So.
That's enough.
And then English is cool because like I want to major in journalism, so I know that leads on to it. But like English, when they start bringing in all them diagrams and like unnecessary stuff,
the diagram.
diagrams is cool
I've
until you.
never heard anyone say that until you said
Diagram-
that.
Because I'm
Programming is
good at
easy.
it. I was, at least. I don't remember anything
It's very
about it now.
easy, but they just
But I
put
used to
in
be
a-
good at the diagram.
Like a bunch of stuff that you're not gonna need.
Yeah.
It's
once
like
you
busy
get
work.
past
After a while, it's just busy work.
subject, verb, adverb, adjective, pronoun, all that. It was like, it would be like compound stuff. I'm not going to say anything because it's not going to make sense.
And it's
so,
probably the parents' fault. I ain't gonna lie. It's probably-
Oh.
Somebody probably came home and was like,
Oh.
this is what I learned. It's like, that's all you learn? And now we got all this extra stuff that's not even necessary.
it's the white man. It's like, no, let me stop.
Oh.
It's the white man. I mean,
I don't know.
the way that school systems are even set up still to this day, like, because of the white man.
Aren't you white?
I'm not from here, actually.
Where you from? No, because I can't say it because
Heaven.
they're gonna actually think you're white. They're gonna
Heaven.
think you're mixed. and
Nobody
not-
thinks I really don't look it.
No. Did you know people don't know the difference between mixed and light skin?
I'm not as pale anymore. Is that?
That people don't know the difference between mixed and light skin. That those are two different terms. People don't know a lot of stuff. I don't know. But younger
I'm
self.
from heaven. That's why I
So
say.
younger self.
Younger self.
'cause y'all was way off on some other tangent.
that was the definition of younger self. Because like for a while, just what we was talking about, we was just like randomly talking. I never felt like I could do that like growing up, and for a while I was like kind of like Trini always says wound. Like probably for a while where I just didn't want to talk to people and I didn't like people because of that wound of feeling like I wasn't allowed to talk about certain stuff. It was just like, you still talking, girl? And then I was like, well, then I'm not going to
Did you
talk at
feel
all.
misunderstood?
Huh?
You felt misunderstood?
No, they just said I talk too much. I was like, then
Who
I'm
said
just not
that
going to
to you?
talk no more.
Who said that to you?
Girl, a lot of people say that. You said that the first episode, Pilar just liked to talk.
But I
was like,
never
well,
told
that-
you talk too much.
But that's why I wanted to major in journalism. Like, be able to express things that I can never express when I
so
really
that
I
was
think that's
something
beautiful
that you
'cause-
are discussing about your inner child or
Yeah,
your
I know.
younger
Writing.
self.
And
So
I'm-
what would you tell that girl
No,
right
I tell her
now?
all the time. I do a lot. Everything I do is for my inner child. Everything I do is to heal my younger self. Yeah. After a while, I feel like probably like in middle school when I was like, I was on that path. I was like, everything happens for a reason, and I don't believe in coincidences either.
True.
So it was like, and then that's when I stopped getting embarrassed because like I used to talk to Trina and be like, that was so embarrassing. But like, I don't get embarrassed. So I was like, yeah, what am I getting embarrassed for? It wasn't embarrassing when I was doing it, so why is it embarrassing now? I mean,
That's what you told her, Trans. Like,
Yeah.
if
That's
you
what I
learn
learned.
from it, everything happens for a reason. You gotta learn from it because you probably wouldn't even be the same person you are now if you didn't go through the things you went through.
amen. Even the bad stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait.
Okay, wait.
What?
She had a thought.
Oh, never
She
mind.
forgot.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's fine. We
Huh?
keep referring to younger self and making it seem like it's separate, though, when it's the same thing to me.
What?
Inner child and younger self.
It is.
She said it.
To some
it's
degree.
probably different because
But
younger
why?
self is just in general. Like when I was younger versus inner child is like, it's not literal.
Yeah,
But
'cause
I
you-
think we meant it in that way, did we not?
What?
Well, I don't know. So
just
why are you
didn't
beefing
use
with
inner
your
child.
your younger self? To me, beefing with your younger self
I
is
see what
like,
you
girl, when you were younger,
Just
you
thinking
did
back-
some
like,
things
thinking
that
about
I
stuff.
wouldn't agree with, or I didn't like, or as a result of. Versus your inner child,
Yeah.
still exists. So you're not necessarily beefing with that inner child within you now, right? I thought this was more about beefing with your younger self for things that you may have done, or maybe things that you
I feel
didn't
like
do that you wanted to do for yourself.
it leads up to it. It's like, why are you
Still
beefing with your
connects.
younger self? And
Yeah.
then since you are, this is how to heal it. And that's going to turn into your inner child versus just
Yeah,
thinking
I
about,
think
oh,
that's-
this is what I could have did when I was there versus this is what
Yeah.
I'm going to do to heal that wound, as Trinity would say.
Wound.
That is such a
Learn her wounds.
a nice word. It fits perfectly with almost everything we talk about.
What's that?
Wound.
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 Yeah, Trinity likes wound.
When you
father
can't
wound,
describe it
mother
right, you'd
wound.
be like wound.
Speaking of wound, we could talk about like the nice girl wound or the
Oh,
nice
yeah.
girl mask. Because I feel like we've all dealt with that.
Just
Yeah.
being nice to everybody.
So are you beefing with your younger self because of that?
Am I beefing with her? Not as much anymore.
Right.
Because
Because I think it makes a difference when you know why.
Mm.
Versus
I
like
Crying.
the shit.
oh,
Not everybody watching this on YouTube. I'm not crying, y'all.
Oh.
But I think because when you're not like aware of why you're operating a certain way or believing certain things, that leaves a lot of room for like shame
Yeah.
or guilt.
amen. I so agree
Girl.
with that.
I thought you saw
No.
a bug or something.
Not up in here. I totally agree. I'm gonna let you finish though, because I have a perfect example that I just got through on therapy, and I shared with you guys already. So, but I'm
did?
going to share that because that was huge. And for
She's
my
sharing
big
it now?
age, how
Yeah, you
long
might as
it
well just
took.
go ahead and say it.
She's sharing it now.
No, because you'll forget. Go ahead.
I
Oh.
don't even know what it is.
See?
So, in a way, I had to get that burp. Okay. In a way, it's like we might have been believing certain things that, because you remember, okay, so for example, just like how when I hear you say, because I'm just such a nice person, I'll be like, you're not
kind.
nice. I'm like, why do you want to be nice? And then you'll be like, oh, I meant kind.
Yeah, because you told me don't use nice.
Oh, so
Yeah, I
it's
told her
kind.
not to use nice once I learned like the differences between
nice
being a
and
nice
kind.
person and a kind person, and it just reminds me of the whole nice girl wound and the mask and stuff because
nice is mostly when people let people walk all over them. People pleasing is most of the time when people be like, I'm so nice versus being
Yeah.
kind. Because kind, I feel like you still have boundaries.
because being nice, like if I told you no,
Mm-hmm.
you
You're
might
so
be
mean.
like, oh my god, you're so mean, like ugh,
Yeah,
just-
because
Yeah.
you get on
gotta
my
know
nerves,
you
and it's
reject
like,
it.
What?
so if I said yes, I'm so nice.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't like hypocrites. While we on that topic, I don't like hypocrites because there's too many people that be
Random
like, no,
Rebecca.
because there's too many people that be like, oh, well, y'all treat me like this, and he be like, don't you do the same thing? Like it's like, I
Yeah.
don't like hypocrites.
So if you were raised that like, oh, a girl does this and she is always available or she always helps or she says yes and stuff like that, you're going to grow up and like holding on to that every time hey, can you watch my dog this weekend? You're going to be like choked up because you're going to be like, I have to say yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to think I'm not nice.
Yeah.
And I have to remain nice. I have to be
Which, yeah, it
this
goes into
girl
people
who
pleasing.
People don't
is
even
always available and pleasing others and there to help, because also you might think, oh, I'm not being helpful, I'm not helping enough, I'm not doing all that I can if
Yeah.
I tell this person no, even if you didn't have plans this weekend but you just didn't want to
Wanna
watch
do
a
it.
dog.
Yeah.
Like
I would've
you
said
can
no.
say no. And I think that's like people's number one, like what's the word, that's like
For
their
what?
most fearful word. I don't know if that
No.
made sense, but the word no.
Yeah, no. Like I get
Yeah,
like the
because-
jokes about like when, oh, my boyfriend or my dad told me no, like those type jokes or something. But people really do hate the word no, and it's
Yeah,
like
some people can't
it
accept
wouldn't be a
rejection,
word
so
if
no is a
it, like-
rejection to some people. But that's a big part of that nice versus kind, and then the people pleasing.
that's definitely
And
fear
nice
though.
and
That's,
saying
that's
yes.
technically falling under fear when you're scared to say no, no matter even if it's something small like can I get your notes, and you're scared to say no, especially like when you're younger because it's like what if they're not my friend no more because I didn't help them.
Yeah. And you know, it's actually still falls under control
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because you're trying to control the perception that like people have of
Of
you.
you.
And that definitely
Mhm.
wasn't good for when you get older and you choose who you date and stuff. That's your problem.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, I've had a lot of interactions with like being scared to say no and
Yeah.
people pleasing, but like it just hit different when it was for a boy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, I got some stories and I was just in the moment too scared to say no or upset them.
Yeah.
Not like that, y'all, because that sounded
Not like-
not like that, but certain things I would just be like stuck. It's like I would freeze, and it is freeze mode.
Oh, yeah.
We still got to make that episode when we talk about the trauma responses, but yeah, freeze mode. I would get in freeze mode and I
fly.
just yep, I can do that for you, or yep,
Yeah.
not a problem, and like I'm dying on the inside.
And then it's not even thinking, because half the time when you answer right away, just to get it out the way, you go home and think about it.
Yeah.
And then that's why I'd be like, why are you randomly bringing this up? It's like, it's not random. I just actually thought about the decision I made instead of just answering right away.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's your fault.
I'm weak.
I
So
know
go
you
ahead
lying.
and give
I
your.
know
Your
you
story.
lying.
Because
What's
she
your
said that
story?
she told us. I don't even know what we're talking
You told us.
I
No, she said
absolutely
in therapy.
did.
Wait, what'd you say?
She
I
said she
did
told
tell
us.
you guys. I talked to you guys about this after I talked about
Well,
it in
dep-
therapy.
Oh, go
Depends what
ahead.
you about to say.
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh.
sure.
You know, she don't remember shit.
I will remember
Right.
once you bring it up. I'm
so
not sure
when
which
you
one.
talked
Right.
about beefing with your younger self, and
Right.
you said forgiving yourself, and I said for certain things, and I said,
Oh,
and you
I know
spoke
what you're
about
talking
guilt
about.
and a shame.
I know what you're talking about.
What?
You want me to say it
I want to see if you're correct before I say it.
with your brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
She ain't tell me
for many
this.
who don't
Yes,
know,
she did. She talks about it all the time now.
I do. So for
Oh,
those
oh,
who don't
yeah,
know,
yeah.
when I was in high school, 9th grade to be exact, and actually it was Christmas Eve.
Baby, you were only like 14.
I was 14. And my brother was, let's see, if I was 14, then he was
0.
3, because we're 11 years apart.
Okay. She know I do math period.
What's wrong?
I didn't remember him
you
being
remem-
that young.
Oh, yeah.
He was 3.
3 is crazy.
And a lot of people, like I said, in high school kind of remembered it was on the news. It was in the newspaper. Of course, word travels fast in high school. And a lot of the people knew once I did get back to school, because it was on Christmas break. People asking, people making jokes about it, which I've never felt that it was funny.
They're so
But-
miserable.
Yeah, no.
We were sitting in the car. So just in short, real quick, my brother was asleep across the back seat of the car. I was in the passenger side. It was Christmas Eve. My mom was dropping off a Christmas gift. She usually locks the doors. The car was on, of course. It's cold outside. The heat was on.
Right.
Her door lock, the inside lock, was broken. So it looked like it was locked, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Some random guy walked up and then start talking to me, like from my side of the window. And I'm calm and cool because I'm thinking
The door's
the doors are locked, no big deal. And then the next thing I know, he runs around the car and tries the door, and boom, to my surprise, the door was not locked, and he just took off. Instinct, he's talking. I think he was like on drugs or something. He's talking and rambling and like grabbing at me, like in the seat, grabbing at me. And my instinct was to just get the hell out of the car.
Right.
I totally forgot about my brother being in the back. I do not, just for you guys to know, because I know everyone's not watching YouTube to see this, I do not talk about this story a lot. This is very hard for me to talk
She
about.
actually hates talking about it.
I do, and even when my family bring it up now and laugh and joke, it's never funny to me. So he took off, and we were going down a hill. I jumped out of a moving car, so I rolled, got a little banged up and beat up, and of course crying and screaming and running towards the house where we were double parked outside of. And my mom, came running out, and I'm just screaming and hollering, and I'm like, my brother's in the car, and I'm just hysterical. If you could just imagine, I'm hysterical. And all I remember screaming is, Frisco's in a car, my brother's in a car, my brother's in a car. And my mom immediately panics and cries, and, we're just both hysterical, of course, calling the police. Thank God, because it was only God. No one else is going to tell me anything different. It was only God that even this terrible person, and yes, I said this terrible person did what he did. Of course, he stole all of the gifts that my mom had in the car, her purse, my purse, backpack, all that stuff. He got to a point and realized that my brother was in the back seat. Thank God he also was asleep the whole time. And by the time he woke up, the police were there. So the guy had pulled over, realized that my brother was in a car, called the police himself and said, I did a terrible thing. I didn't know it was a child in the back, and told them where the car was located. And they got to him in time. So, it wasn't like he, had any health issues. He didn't freeze, nothing like that. Very short amount of time after he took the car. So, of course, once they found him, he was fine. He was safe. He kind of woke up and was like, where was everybody? You guys left me. Where did everybody go? Because when he kind of woke up, it was just before the police arrived and he was there alone.
Right.
That is probably the hardest story, the hardest thing in my life, in my big age even, of all the things that I have been through. For me to even talk about. It wasn't until therapy that my therapist, after doing the work in a few sessions, and I shared that, talk about trauma and forgiving your younger self. It took me all of these years, I won't tell y'all how old I am, but all of these years to not be ashamed about it and not feel guilty. So I had to confront my brother just maybe, I don't know, this was like the end of last year, to tell him, that I'm sorry, which I've said a million times, and he knows, of course he knows. But it was part of the therapy process of that, and the trauma from that it was connected to so many things in my life, especially as a teenager, especially going through high school, part of that rebellion even, that I didn't even know was all connected. I had no idea, but you're talking about trauma, so much so that I had pushed it back and down so far out my mind that when we did an exercise about trauma, I didn't even say that first. And it was kind of like, what was the hardest thing, the most traumatic thing? And I thought of moments in my marriage that was instant, but until he asked another question, did it like light bulb went off and it clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, my number one trauma that I'm still struggling with today is the carjacking where my little brother was kidnapped.
Yeah.
And that just, the floodgates just came open, emotions came out, and I had to walk him through it, just like I just did, and explain it to him. And, we did a few sessions on that, and I realized it was me being ashamed of it because I felt ashamed and so guilty for jumping out of that car and not going through whatever was to come, just for the sake of not leaving my brother. Or the guilt of leaving him because I just panicked and freaked out, and here's this guy, still in his car and touching me. And I totally forgot that my brother was stretched out asleep in the back. So I carried guilt and shame about that for all of these years, and I'm talking over 30 years. It wasn't until therapy that I got through it. I was able to talk to my brother about it, to share my feelings about it. And one of the exercises that I had to do with the therapist was to talk to my younger self. And he basically said, I want you to basically write a letter to yourself, to your younger self, and talk about that trauma, talk about that incident, how it made you feel. And I want you to tell her you forgive her. And that was the biggest thing and the hardest thing ever, because I've been carrying that for so long. Saying that I forgive myself for what I did, for not knowing what to do, for feeling guilty about it all of these years. And I had to tell my brother the same thing. And he was like, I don't blame you. I know it wasn't your fault. And if you know my brother, then you know he made a joke out of it. And he said, it's mom's fault. So It's her fault for stopping to deliver that gift. And I mean, of course, he's a fool. I had to laugh, but it wasn't until that, guys, that I really started to do the inner work that Trinity talks about, and to forgive, because I damn sure was beefing with my younger self, and that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But that had like a huge effect. Therapy wasn't so prevalent back then for mental health, and I tell my girls this all the time. So back then, you might have had a school counselor. He would send you to the counselor's office. Oh, do you need to talk? And the counselor was like, oh, you just need a break from school or something, or class, or just sit in my office for a while.
Yeah.
There was no real therapy or counseling going on. It was like, oh, what's wrong? Just tell me about it. And as I said before, we're very private people, and I've always been a very private person and very much an introvert. But I think a lot of people just thought, oh, when time passed, we talked about it, we cried about it, everybody's okay. It was kind of like, and then life goes on and we keep moving. Mm-hmm. I never got a chance to talk about it for real. I never got a chance to really process it. So life went on physically because it had to, but mentally, it kind of stopped with that day with me. And as a result, after being in therapy and doing the work, and I realized a lot of the things and choices that I even made was basically rebellious because I didn't get to express myself for that incident, for working on the trauma, for even realizing that it's a traumatic thing. And it's more than just, hey, here and now, or for, the next week or two, or however long the kids talked about it at school. It was on the news, in the newspaper. We talked about it and we dealt with it then. And then when that died down, life went on. Everybody else carried on. And I never really unloaded that baggage, basically. Right. And that trauma stuck with me all the way into now. But I can tell you that is one trauma that I was beefing with my younger self about. And it took me a very long time to get that out, to realize it even. And only because of therapy, because, I had tried to push it in the back of my mind for so long.
Therapy will do that too.
So I'm thankful for my therapist for that, because that was very much needed in so many ways.
Therapy, I would say when I first started therapy, when she was just like, my therapist was honest that I would have to go back into the past, because it's like what the world and society, they're just like, move on from everything that's happened. And then people are wondering, like, why does everything feel the same? Because it's a difference between dwelling on the past and like, oh, what I should have done differently, and going back to the past to forgive yourself or to figure out what the real problem was. Like, I feel like I had to learn the difference between that, because I was like, why am I going backwards and we're in a hole however many years later? But she was telling me not to go back and think about what I could have done differently, but to go back and what can I learn from that situation to apply it to my life now. Right. So there's not that missing piece in your life where it's like, well, why do I feel this way when someone says that? You have to go back and realize the first time someone ever said something like that to you. Like, oh, and that's why I get triggered when someone does that. But then also talking with my mom, when I would tell her about someone triggering me, she would have to... Because it's like when you're in that moment in middle school, and I first learned to stop acting out of emotion, because it's like if something triggers you, it's just so many things going on in your head, and you're just like your legs bouncing and you just don't know what to do. So you just do the first thing that pops in your head, and then you end up regretting it most of the time. Talking to her about it, like, it's not the person that you're upset with. You're upset because they triggered you. And you could go through many friendships like that. Like, people just cutting you off the second something bad happens, and then you get to therapy and you realize, oh, it was really a trigger. It wasn't the type of person they were, so I could get in a whole new friendship if they still say the same thing and it triggers me, then I'm going to cut them off and I'm just going to go through friends, versus like figuring out what the actual problem is and why that upsets me. And also just like not holding grudges. Like, no one's saying you have to talk to the person that did you wrong, but honestly, forgiveness, like for not just forgiving yourself, but like forgiving others as well. Because it's like at the end of the day, you're the only one losing sleep. Like they're probably sleeping peacefully, and you're just
Yep.
up thinking about it, even if it was like 13 years later or something like that.
Yep.
So you gotta forgive them. You don't even have to talk to them. It's like you can literally just pretend that they're in front of you and just like think about it and be like, I forgive them, and I want things to be different and stuff. Because most of the time when you hold grudges or just push things back, you just end up in the same cycle over and over. But also, the first thing you learn is even no matter how much work you do, nothing's ever going to be perfect. It's like people do a lot of work and they expect it to be like just the perfect life. Like they'll never deal with pain again, and that's just not realistic at all. Like, and you really even can't even plan everything word for word, bar for bar on how you want your healing process to go. You really just have to go with the flow and what works best for you and what you even need to do. Because like she said, like you push something so deep down that you have to dig so far deep to like get back to that point, because you probably don't even remember it half the time.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all kind of healing.
Yeah.
You know, like you checking off the boxes. Oh, well, I did this with this trauma or this issue or this thing, and so yeah, I'll just do the same thing.
And I'll never get triggered
unfortunately
again.
it doesn't work like that. And you know, you can be healed and still doesn't mean that you won't be triggered.
Yeah, because it's not about not getting triggered anymore. It's about learning how to deal with your triggers
And how
now.
to handle it. Exactly.
Yeah. So you might still get triggered in some aspects, but you'll see the difference between how I just flipped out and start cussing everybody out versus I sat and breathed and talked to myself about it. And it's like a lot of people, I feel like if a lot of people would stop thinking that everything was so weird just because society didn't teach you how to do that. Like,
or because society makes you think that certain things are weird. Or
Yeah.
you expressing yourself or sharing your emotions and, oh, well, everybody else isn't doing it. Or everybody is doing it this way.
Yeah.
And they expect you to conform.
because I mean, especially like with social media, because that's really what it be. But it
Absolutely.
can honestly like go both ways. Like sometimes people can even make up problems in their head to like try and fit in, because it's like, oh, my For You page is filled with people that went through traumatic things. Let me try and figure out that's similar, and it's like that didn't even happen to you.
Yeah.
Like that's the definition of delusion. That's why I be looking at like when I was talking about hypocrites, when it'd be like no one's ever there for me or someone's always talking about me. I was like, I don't think that's how that happened. I think it was the other way around. Because a lot of people don't realize, like they'd be like, I don't say karma, I just say you reap what you sow, like what the Bible says and stuff. And a lot of people just assume that it's going to come back from the person that they did wrong, because they'll randomly be like, I didn't even do nothing to her. Why did that happen? I was like, but you probably did something to somebody else. Like, it doesn't have to come from the exact same person you did wrong. It can literally come back from the person that you're the nicest to or whatever. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that, so they just think it randomly happened. It's like, but you're not innocent either, so...
Yeah. You're talking about delusion and people putting off their own feelings about themselves or their insecurities, and they push it on to you
other
and then make
people.
you think that you're the problem or you're the delusional one.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the work themselves
Yeah.
for themselves.
Self-awareness
It's just
is
weird.
important.
Yeah, and then once you're healed from certain things, or once you learn even about yourself, like I've said before, you don't want to be around those people. But then you also realize, you know, before you might have been like, oh, it's me. Like you said,
Yeah.
like, oh, I did this. Or maybe it's me, or, you know, friendship, relationship, whatever. But once you do the work on yourself and you realize it was never me.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I'm
that
not
could come
saying
from
it
even
again.
gaslighting.
Yeah,
Like, in a
and
relationship.
we're talking about perfection. No, no one's perfect. Everybody has some type of flaw of some sort. But it's about responsibility, accountability, and not pushing all that onto someone else because you don't want to face it about yourself. And I see you talk about social media. I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, your generation or your age group. But I mean, it happens with people my age.
Yeah.
Even. So it's not isolated to a certain generation or age group, but I'm just saying because your generation is so geared on social media and, you know, new fads and trends, and I got to look like this person and be like this person and speak like this.
Like Peter was saying previously about, it's not about, you know, oh, you're not healed. It's
Right.
just like when that trigger comes, how you navigate and deal with that trigger. And that brings me to a video that I just made not too long ago, which went viral because I was literally just talking about how, well, it's talking about your nervous system and how your nervous system doesn't care about how much inner work you've done.
Yeah.
It just cares in that moment about feeling safe. So specifically talking to people who, like myself, because I've done this so many times, when it could be something that I've been healing from for years, and then I might have been doing really well, haven't had any triggers with it or been thinking about it, and then something happens and I'm like, this is so old. Like, why am I still feeling this way about this? Like, are you not over it yet? Like, what is wrong with you? And just like coming from a place of so much shame or guilt, and then just putting myself down because I'm like, you should be over this by now. Like, why are you not over it? But it's not about that, and that's not how your body works. That's not how trauma works. And it's not that you get to a point where you're just, oh, I'm just so healed from this. Like, this could just never bother me ever again, or I'll never be triggered by it. It's just about making yourself feel safe, because most likely you just don't feel safe, whatever it might be. Your nervous system, your body is telling you and alerting you, hey, we need you to pay attention here because we just got triggered. Therefore, we are not feeling safe. We are thinking we are in danger or being threatened, or something bad is going to happen. Like, maybe it's just anxiety and you feel like something really bad is about to happen to you. And it's just about making yourself feel safe in that moment. And I noticed that as I get older, because I've been knew this, but as I get older, shut up, Peter. As I get older,
Because you're so old, right?
Oh, I was just saying, as I get older, oh my gosh, like from 12 to 23 type stuff.
2 years.
How much I loved and like relied on movies and TV shows.
Yes. Oh, we were just talking about this.
And that is
And the
what led
internet.
me to like fall in love with
Shut up,
acting. But I do feel like it was also, I don't know what you can call it. Not a trauma response. Not a trauma response, but like I would dissociate in a way, like from, I don't want to be here in my house right now, or I don't want to be around these people. I would like just fall into the movies and the TV shows and just like these characters.
That's why you're a perfect actress.
And
Makes sense.
That's what I thought, like, this is what I want to do when I get older. I want to be an actress. Like, I'm so in love with this. And just and then obviously getting older and then going to acting classes and then being in like, what is that? Things. Oh, I was gonna say films and stuff, but being in actual, like, on set and things like that and acting, then you see the behind the scenes of acting and the business side of acting, and you really appreciate. Now when I watch movies or something, I'm just like thinking about like how did that actor get there to play that role, and like all the behind the scenes stuff. And it makes you appreciate it a lot more, because acting is hard. It is challenging. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. But I realized that, yeah, I kind of, I'm not thinking of the word, but I just fell into the movies. And that's why I was always like, oh, I'm such a hopeless romantic. Growing up, I felt like I was. I don't think I am so much now.
Why?
I don't feel like as much.
But why?
Maybe it's just how I view myself, obviously. But
That's not a bad thing.
I feel that when I was a hopeless romantic, I was just like
fairy tale-ish.
This
That's
will never
why.
happen.
You know?
yeah, but
Like-
in a way. Okay, so yeah, I used to say like, or somebody else might have said like, okay, but that's like just not real life. And I would be like, but I do believe I could meet a man who's going to love me just as much as he loves this girl in this movie or something. And then so like, yeah, that's how I felt when Jimmy came around, obviously, in a realistic way. Like,
In a
but,
real way.
huh?
In a real way.
Yeah, in a real way.
In a real way.
But And then I used to tell myself, like, if something, like, negative would happen, I would be like, yeah, because, like, this isn't a movie that you're watching. This isn't a fairy tale. When really it was, like, me not knowing the trauma. Like, it's me not knowing why I believe these things, why I was acting this way. Back then, I wasn't as aware of it. It's like I was, but I'm nowhere near as much as now, of course, because I've just been growing. But yeah, and then I would just tell myself, like, that's just because this isn't a movie and this isn't a fairy tale. And kind of believing what other people told me, though, because those weren't my own thoughts. People would tell me, this is not a fairy tale. Like, you're not in some movie. And so that's when I kind of adapted that. And I was like, I guess that's why, you know, this is happening between me and Jimmy, because we're not in, like, it's not the love I thought it was or something. So, yeah. And then also the last thing is, because when P-Day was talking, I thought about it. I don't remember exactly what she said, but as you begin to become more aware and heal certain things, you will start to respond more than react. Because a lot of us, when we don't know where our trauma is coming from or why we're acting a certain way, we react. We just react. We yell, we cuss, we scream, and, like, we storm out, we stonewall. Stonewalling is, like, when you basically, like, shut down and start ignoring people.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I do that. So,
So does Pilar.
and my therapist was helping me navigate that. She gave me, like, a worksheet to, like, work with the whole stonewalling thing. But it's like, if you're maybe having a disagreement with your partner or something, or just, like, a family member, if I'm arguing with you or something, it could get it's real easy to, I know, because we don't argue. What was that?
I don't know.
Okay. So it could be real easy to just give in and want to react, and then want to yell at you, or want to tell you, oh, you're so wrong, or you don't know what you're talking about. And we're just basically going back and forth, triggering each other, when one of us could just take a moment, take a breath. Taking a breath could really just reset.
That's what I be doing when I'm stonewalling.
Yeah, reset but okay, let me say that. So for the longest, like, I knew about stonewalling, then I know about it, then it kind of, you learn new things, you forget about stuff.
Right.
So when I would get so, like, worked up about things, I would think, okay, like, I just need a moment. But really, it wasn't me needing a moment, and I was doing it in a healthy way. I was stonewalling still. Even though when I found out about stonewalling, I was like, oh, okay, so now that I know, then, okay, like, just do this or something. It was like I thought I was doing the correct thing in that moment, the healthy thing to do.
Right.
Because I told myself, yes, I know I'm shutting down. It's like when I just don't want to talk no more. Like, I feel like you're not understanding me. I feel like you're not listening. But it could be when the person actually does want to understand you and does want to listen. But because of what happened in the past, it's like you just shut down. But the difference between I need space to deal with what's coming up right now versus stonewalling is I would just not communicate. I would not say it. It would just happen. I would just go silent. And I would just, some people can't see me, so that's why I didn't, I was about to act it out. But I would just sit there or walk away or get on my phone. And then for the next hour, I'm probably not really feeling you. I'm not really talking to you. I'm not smiling at you. And then in my head, I'm just like, I told you I need space after we have a disagreement. Or I told you, like, you know, I'm not just going to be able to, like, snap back into it and be laughing and kiki with you. Like, this is me processing. I'm processing. But really, no, I'm stonewalling. It's still stonewalling because I never communicated. I just need
some time.
About an hour to go gather my thoughts. Then when I come back, we can finish talking. Or I'm feeling a bit triggered right now. Is it okay if we take a break? I wouldn't say those things. I would just shut down
and be quiet.
Think in my mind, I'm doing the right thing because I just need a moment to process.
Because you're
Right.
You
And
know
then the
what you're
other
thinking, but
person
they don't.
wouldn't know. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of, and then at that point, they're like, so you're just not going to talk? Are you just going to
Yeah.
be quiet? So do you
'Cause
not hear me talking to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In reality, you're thinking like, I know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
It's not about
That
to
does
say.
suck.
I
I
need
ain't gonna lie.
time to process. I need time
Yeah.
to myself, but I'm stonewalling.
Yeah, that sucks. Because then the other person is getting upset now, too, when if you would have just said,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been through
And
that.
even on the other side, like just even when it is communication, like going back and forth with someone and they're like, well, I'll talk to you later because I can't do this right now. It's irritating when they're the person that started the conversation. Like, how are you
You
going to
know
start
what
an
I'm
argument?
saying?
Oh,
You
she
going to
felt
start
that
the
one.
argument and then you going to say, well, I just need a second. Well, we could have just did this another time.
Or the person who starts it, and then you're trying to not engage, and you're
Right.
just like, I'm just going to let you get it out.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get quiet, or as soon as you now engage,
Mm-hmm.
then they're like, oh, well, don't get mad. Let's talk about it. And
Yeah.
now I've been trying to get you to
Right.
talk and express yourself and share.
Hypocrite.
And then as soon as I shut down, then, oh, now we want to talk.
Hypocrite.
That's a problem for me, too, because I'm big on communication.
Yeah.
And like you said, I'm totally okay with you saying, hey, I need a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
just be like, I
I'm
just
fine
need a
with that,
second
but
to
just
think
say
about it.
something. I hate, and I hate using the word hate, but I strongly dislike when we're talking, or like
Ooh,
not
oh.
us, but me in a relationship or friendship, just a
Right.
conversation, and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
somebody's feeling stonewalling, like you said, and they just pretty much, it seems like shutdown mode.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we were just talking. And, you know, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh, you didn't like what I had to say about you or about the
Right.
situation. So you just went quiet. And then I'm, trying to get something out of you, and then nothing. That irritates the hell out of me because I feel like I'm being ignored. And especially like what Pilar said, if they start the conversation or the debate, disagreement, whatever it is, you started it, and then soon as I say something in return, it's just, now
Yeah.
I'm shutting down.
And I feel like it's probably because most of the time before people say stuff, they plan it out. It's kind of like,
Or not.
I feel like sometimes I've dealt with that, like, thought about something and it's like, well, I could just tell him that. And then I tell him and then it's like, but you're thinking about it when you were talking to yourself or thinking about yourself. So you got to realize that there is going to be, what's the word when you're having a conversation? Responses.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're planning something out in your head, like, oh, this made me mad, you did that, then let me just say the same thing to you, and then you realize, oh wait, this is not just me venting to myself. It's like I actually have to like deal with the response, because at that point I feel like they're probably like, I got what I had to get out, but then I remember you have to actually say something, and then
Yeah, and that
I'm not trying
becomes
to
a
hear it,
problem
but,
sometimes
yeah.
because that's what people do.
Yeah.
I want to say what's in my head or what
Yeah.
I'm thinking, but the way I rehearsed it in my head, you didn't say anything back.
yeah,
But then when it finally comes out, it's like, oh,
that's why.
and then it's a bigger problem because I wasn't ready for that. Now I don't know how to respond, and then stonewalling does come in at
Yeah.
that too, because then it's totally shutdown mode. Because in their mind, they're like, I just want to say what I had to say.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to say anything
That's
back,
why you gotta
and I've
kinda,
been
like,
told that you don't have to
verify
say
it.
anything. I hate that. You don't have to say anything in response. You
What
know,
if I wanted to say something?
but right, who are you to tell me you didn't? I didn't spit it
That's
all
why you
out,
gotta
and I'm
say it,
supposed
like,
to sit here and take it and
That's
just
why
go.
you're not supposed to just like straight
Oh.
come up to someone like that.
Okay.
You're supposed to be like, oh, can I vent or something like that? Can I say that? So it's different, because if you're not saying, oh, I just need a vent right now, of course people are gonna respond. Like dealing with that when people be like, well, I didn't ask for advice, but you didn't say you were just venting. You just came to me and told me, so I just assumed you would want advice to help your problem.
Or you don't say anything, and they're looking at you
Yeah.
like, so are you going to
Well,
help me, or are you going to answer? And it's like, oh, you didn't say you wanted advice. I
don't
thought
like-
you were venting.
I don't like when people ask for advice and then argue you down on on the advice that you gave, you didn't have to ask.
because you didn't agree with their
Yeah.
decision.
Because a lot of people don't like take accountability. Like, I'm not gonna do it, like, especially if it's a friend. I'm not gonna do it in front of like the person that happened. Like, that's why I don't like being put on the spot. I feel like I've dealt with that a lot, especially like seeing a friend like argue with their like as a couple or something. And they turn around, isn't that right? I'd be like, oh.
Silence,
Be like,
crickets. Don't
like-
involve me.
like argue with them first and then come back, and then I'll be so I'm not about to embarrass you, because sometimes people, your friend do be wrong, but you're not gonna just say no, you're wrong in front of everybody, especially if it's like somebody they're arguing with someone you're not cool with. Then you're not gonna say in front of them, but like sometimes y'all know y'all be wrong. Everyone has been wrong in a situation before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did we get all our beefs out with our
Yeah.
younger selves, or just talking about it, or at least letting people know that it's okay
Yeah.
to beef with your younger self? But
I think the last thing I would say is that with going back or overthinking the past and going, why didn't you do this differently? With your younger self is definitely because, like Trini, it reminded me when Trini was like getting older and realizing certain things, that the only reason why you can say the things that you're saying now is like, why didn't we do something different, is because you grew up and you learned, and you probably learned from
Growth.
that specific situation. So it's like, why are you sitting there asking, because people be so young, you be like 10, why are you asking a 10-year-old why didn't they do something that you didn't learn until you were like 30? Why didn't they do that back then? They didn't know. Like, and you probably learned it from that specific situation. In case this comes up, I know what to do now. So going back to your younger self, and really, because your younger self is still you, so you're really just hurting yourself even more. Even though it was all those years ago, it's still going to hurt the person you are in the present time. So it's really no point of going back and criticizing yourself that much. It's never that serious.
no, but that's a process too.
Yeah.
That's a part of healing, and that can be hard.
Yeah.
Just thinking about, again, younger self and going back, and it's almost like regret a little bit, you know,
Right.
like, oh, I regretted I did this. Oh, and I blame my present, on this, or my future is this way because I did this in the past.
Then
Like,
everything
it's
happens
hard.
for a reason.
Yeah, everything does happen for a reason. So you
I
do
feel
have to
like-
learn how to heal from that and move on.
When I was talking to Trinity about something, it was like, when you deal with overthinking, to just keep overthinking, but ask yourself questions about if something like were to actually happen. So it's like going back and overthinking, like, why did that have to happen to me? But then you overthink some more, like, well, what did I learn from this situation? What did this situation bring me, and this and that? And then the problem's figured out most of the time.
Yeah. I think it's important to get in touch, though, with
Yeah,
your inner child
Yeah.
and
Instead of
with
just
your
pushing
younger
them away.
self. Yeah, you can learn a lot from your inner child even at this age. I can definitely
it
say
definitely
that.
takes
So
maturity.
she's trying to hold it in because, that's her thing. She loves that. But it's true.
Yeah.
Like I said, I learned it in therapy. It's very much true. And you guys hear me say every episode, therapy works. I don't care
Yeah.
what nobody say. It works.
And the moral of the story is, watch the Florida Project.
Oh God, here she
Oh, my
go.
goodness.
Here she go.
Her-
If it's
one of
not
her
Frank
favorite
Ocean,
movies.
it's a
Moral of the
movie.
story, watch the Florida Project.
That don't have nothing to do with any of this.
I don't.
It don't.
It's just
I
one of
didn't
her
watch
favorite
the whole
movies.
thing, so.
No, I don't know. Something. Oh,
Something.
because I already said the perks of being a wallflower, and that would probably be the perfect example of going back to your inner child. Because think about,
Oh, what happened?
he
Yeah.
had to go back.
Yeah, that movie will be fitting for this episode.
movie.
Absolutely.
And then I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes you gotta read the book. Sometimes the movie don't do enough. Sometimes you gotta go back and read the actual books.
Yeah, that's true.
She
I
didn't read
am a
that book.
movie girl,
So-
especially when it
Yeah.
comes to, films that were
Yeah.
made like from a movie. I'm gonna watch that movie. I'm a visual. I gotta see it.
I don't think you realize what
Hunger
you just said. Pilar
Games.
caught it, though.
Sorry, what'd I say?
Films that are turned into a movie.
Books.
My fault.
But-
My books.
It's
I
a
was
lot of
trying to
books.
say it
She
the
love all
other
the
way.
books. Wait,
Like the
what's
Twilight series.
Twilight. I'm a visual. I never read the book. Never
Never
seen
planned
the
on
book.
reading the books.
Probably not.
Twilight is one of my all-time favorite
Oh my
movie
gosh,
series.
yes.
You just gotta watch it. That's one of
Yes.
the movies you gotta watch at least one. You don't gotta watch all of them.
Wait, you didn't read the book? I could have sworn you told me that the
Never-
book was better.
Never
Girl, it's like 50
read
million
that book.
books because it's
I
50
know.
million movies.
Anyway,
Never read that
guys.
book.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trent. Go ahead. Let it out.
You sure?
Get it out.
Dang, we started talking about movies and books, so people don't tend to listen with their ears. They listen with their trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people, like when I speak about showing up as your most authentic self and stuff,
Yeah.
I say that because if we've been going so many years operating out of our trauma. Right. We are operating out of almost like a false identity, because your trauma has become your personality and your identity.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, it's like if you've been showing up in that way, it probably has affected your friendships, your relationships. You probably don't have the best people around you because you're just not showing up authentically. So you're not really reaching your people, your audience.
Preach, girl.
So, and I do believe that with inner work is broad. So inner child healing falls under inner work. Feminine energy falls under inner work, and all the things that I've already talked about all the time. But I don't think, like, I do think that is the missing piece. The inner child healing part is such a big part, and I don't think people understand or realize how, like, life-changing it is. And, like, I don't even know the word to describe it, but excuse me, I've had some of the best moments, like, just being connected to my inner child intentionally, because, like, of course at some point it'll become sort of like a habit, routine or something. But when you're, like, first getting into it, or, like, finding that spot that just works for you, it's such a beautiful time to just reflect back. And when you think, I know maybe not only women are listening, but when you think back on your little girl, is what I call my inner child.
Yeah.
Like, she was, like, so happy, full of life and light. And that's how a lot of our inner childs are. Like, we're kids. So when you're a kid, you do just have this wild imagination. You do just kind of, like, you're, like, in love with your life. Everything could probably just excite you and make you happy. And you're just so full of love. And then things happen.
Yeah.
And trauma happens. And we just sort of, like, dim our light.
Growing up mature. Because stuff can happen even. It's the innocence, because things could be happening even as a little girl. You just don't realize it until you're older.
Yeah. That innocent, childlike, like, that is so heavily connected to your feminine energy. And that's why once I learned, like, I think it's a quote, like, it's an actual quote. I don't know who came up with it, but a woman who's connected to her inner child is a woman in her feminine energy. And that is so true, because yes, you have the different feminine energies, light and dark and stuff, but specifically that light feminine energy, she literally is just, like, showing up as that inner child. She's so, like, just alive and, like, free and fun and playful. Like, playful is one of the biggest things. And just free flowing, like, going with the flow, not really overthinking about things or worried about things. It's like being okay and feeling safe with the unknown is a really big thing. And of course it takes, like, practice doing something you've never done before. You're not familiar with it, and it's almost like once you
that's what makes it fun. It's a big leap of faith.
Some people are scared, but if you look at it like, new opportunity, new thing I've never done, it will be fun. Like, basically life will be what you allow it to be, and you have to give yourself permission.
You want to be a loser, you're gonna be a loser.
Yeah, if you think you're if you think you're a loser, you're
a loser.
Or you're gonna be, or you'll act as if you are.
That's like self-sabotage.
Well, that goes. It is, but I mean that then it goes into mindset and things like that. So, but
I'm just saying, if you repeat all the time the way you speak about yourself, I'm a loser, I'm a loser, then you are a loser.
I'm stupid.
You said it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're the one who thinks that way about yourself. So
whose else's opinion is more important than yours. So
if somebody came around and said you're a superstar, but if you believe you're a loser, that's how you're showing up. And that's how people change their lives. They change their self-talk.
Yeah.
I am somebody who is capable of running a 6-figure business. I am somebody who's capable of having this kind of morning routine. I am somebody who's capable of having my dream body.
There's power in the tongue.
Your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and your imagination.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Right.
science. It's not something that's like, okay, so if I just repeat these affirmations every day, you're telling me I could change my life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because your brain doesn't know. So if you say, I'm a millionaire, and you repeat it to yourself constantly, I'm not saying by next week you're going to be a millionaire,
It
but I'm
still
just
takes
saying
time. It's not.
your brain is creating.
Yeah.
Whatever you need
I don't
to,
wanna
to
get too
start that
scientific.
path.
Yeah.
Just start that path.
Guys,
but
that's the
that's
other
new
thing, though.
pathways in
Everyone
your
gotta
brain.
stop thinking that it only takes 3 wishes and then boom, it's gonna happen. It takes time. Everything takes time.
yeah. But I mean, that's the way you think about yourself is very important. So, like,
Of course.
my generation or my age group, when you get to a certain age and you automatically like, oh, I can't do that, I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wear that, I'm too old for that.
That's
I
true.
can't.
That's stupid.
I can't do that. And I'm like, you're missing
It's
out on
true, and you
fun.
can't.
Who told you that?
And
When you
just
get to
keep
this
telling yourself
age,
that, and then you don't get off the couch, and now you really can't do it.
Oh, I'm weak. And you can't.
it's like, who told you?
'Cause that's what
You're
you
too
say.
old to parasail or to jet
Yeah.
ski or
Like,
run a
people
marathon,
my age
whatever.
aren't doing this anymore.
Yeah.
We're too old. It's
Yeah.
like,
Too. And then it's
No.
another thing, like, people are scared to age. Like, that's a gift. People
Yeah.
aren't even making it to their teenage years, and you're scared to be 30. You're not that. You're
I
not
know,
old.
I can't
Like,
stand that. Oh my gosh, I'm getting
This
so
is how
old. I'm
to get rid
30.
of wrinkles. This is how to
30 is the new
Yeah,
20.
so annoying.
30.
Christ.
Oh, this is how I like to look at it for those people who might feel like, oh my God, I'm 32. I'm so old. Or like people, even I have friends who are like, oh my God, I'm 25. Like,
just live life.
and I'm like, okay, but think about it like this. Like, you've only been an adult, if we're starting from like 20, for 5 years.
Yeah.
You've only been an adult for 5 years.
If you
What
start
do
from
you
21,
think,
only
like-
4.
And just,
That's if you start from 21, you really only been for 4.
Right. So it's all about perspective.
Yeah.
And then it's all about really get the freak off of social media. You
Yeah.
can be on social media, but build up your mind to a point where you are not comparing yourself every time you scroll. You are not absorbing everything like a sponge. Like, social media is so much these days.
It's so
you have
draining.
to protect
You don't even know those people.
your mind.
It's draining.
You have
You
to
don't
protect
even
your
know them.
values and everything, and it's a highlight reel. So you might see
Yeah.
somebody else I might see somebody else who's also 23 and they have a whole penthouse in Dubai and they're making 7 figures, and it's like, good for them.
You're not them, though.
Good for them. That's cool. Like, they had to work still to get where they are, and that's their journey. That's
Right.
their life, their story. I'm gonna be good.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, because
Like-
then you start thinking, oh my God, I'm never gonna make it. Look, I'm so behind.
Yeah.
I think
And-
our generation thinks that a lot. Like, we're missing out. We're so
Like,
behind.
And that there's a certain life to have. Like, I need
Yeah.
to be married and have these many kids and be settled down by the time I'm 30. And it's like,
Yeah.
And then you also have to separate the real from the fake.
Yeah.
Like you said, a highlight
A
reel.
highlight reel.
So I'm
You
showing
don't
you
know those
the
people.
best outfit, the best vacation, the best
yeah.
dinner date, whatever, in this month or in this week. And that might have been
And-
one, and all the other days she might have been
You-
crying
you
her
really
eyes
gotta-
out.
You
know,
gotta
like
watch the relatable TikTokers, because you be thinking,
Just
oh,
don't
she's
know.
so relatable, and then she live in like a whole mansion, and you don't. So
I'm like,
no matter how relatable her videos are, you don't know those people.
yeah. I'm all for creating your dream life,
Yeah.
as I call it. It's just the life that
But
you want to
your
live.
dream life,
Yeah,
not,
your
I want to be
version
like
of it.
somebody else's life.
And just creating a life that you're genuinely in love with. Like,
Right.
when you wake up and you're just like so excited for the day, and like you love the people you're around, you love yourself,
Yeah.
your body, no matter what it looks like. You love the food that you nourish your body with, like all those things, just like being in love with your life. That takes slowing down, being present, and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
I was
being
gonna say.
authentic. But it'll also come down to giving yourself permission with a lot of things. Like, a lot of things you'll wonder why you think what you think. Like, where did this thought even come from? Why do I feel like what you were saying, like, when you get to a certain age, I can't parasail no more.
oh, but a lot
Where
of
did that
people
come
will
from?
say, my parents didn't do this, or
Yeah.
I don't remember my mom or my dad or my parents doing this.
And
It's just
it's
like you're
almost
not.
like society was supposed to develop
It's like you're
and change.
you're not your parents. You're not your parents.
It's just like I can't be
Parents
on
ain't
no
no cell
cruise
phone.
ship. Why? Because I'm 55 and
Or I can't go to Dubai because all the young people just love Dubai. It's so trending, and it's for young
I
people.
have to take this
Says
so I can
who?
stay young and so I
give
don't
yourself
get
the permission and
To live
question
life.
yourself. Question yourself in that way. Question your
Why
thoughts.
don't I want to do
Always
this?
question your thoughts, because when you have that belief come up, or a negative belief or a limiting belief is what they're called, and you find yourself, oh, I'll never have a job like that.
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Yeah,
Yourself.
and why not?
Well, and then you start like be curious about, really question yourself. I probably can't afford a nice house like that. Why? It's just, my family, we never really been able to buy nice things and da da da. Okay, well, how about it starts with you?
Yeah, break the
Like,
cycle.
You know what else is trauma? When people feel like they have to get bullied into doing things. Like the gym, like when you have to watch someone call you big back a million times for you to go to the gym. That's a trauma response. That's trauma. Like, you can't change yourself without having negative energy. Like, that's not good energy. I went to the gym because such and such said I'm big and I do. That don't make sense, guys.
I don't even have the words.
No, because
caught me off guard with
I
that
just
one.
saw it because she was like, "That's a trauma response." Because they was like, "You need to go join the person's live or stuff." Because she like gets on live and tells them stuff and like that.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. I don't know her name though, but I know who you're talking
Like,
about.
I used to watch
Crazy.
her.
Kind of crazy.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, it does start with that inner child,
Yeah.
and knowing that, like Pete said, they're still there with you. They didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, they're never
They've
gonna
been
go
with
anywhere.
you since day one.
Forgive yourself.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. Forgive yourself.
Listen to Frank Ocean.
Oh gosh.
Give yourself
Anyway.
permission. That's what I'm leaving off with.
Thank
And follow
you,
me
guys.
on TikTok.
Oh
Like,
my gosh. She's laughing, but she's serious. Instagram, TikTok, Trinity
good
Bidet,
Store.
trinitybidet.com. All those great things.
In the description down below.
Thank you guys for joining us for another wonderful episode of
Who opened the box? I
Well-
did. Oh. So
Yep.
We'll see you guys the next time. Smooches.
Many people you